What's the connection between anger and ADHD? And what's an ADHD shutdown? Hi, I'm Kaitlin Soulé. I'm an ADHD therapist with over 10 years of experience. Today, I'll be answering some of the internet's biggest questions about ADHD and navigating big feelings. What is emotional dysregulation? So if you have ADHD or you know someone who has ADHD, this is definitely a term you've heard of. Honestly, it can be a little tricky to understand these terms sometimes, so as a therapist, I want to help you break it down. You know what emotions are, that's the emotional piece, and dysregulation is this feeling of not being able to pull yourself back together. It's like you're out of control of your emotions and it feels really uncomfortable, but you don't know how to stop it. What this might look like in kids is their emotions come on really strong, really fast, and intensely, and they last a long time. You might be thinking, gosh, are they over this feeling yet? But it's still going on and on and on. This can look like yelling, it can look like tantruming on the floor, kicking and screaming, it can look like throwing things, it can look like crying even at times where it feels like a little strange for them to be crying. In adults, what this might look like is having these outsized reactions. It can look like yelling at your kids or your partner, or it can look like getting really irritable all of a sudden. It can look like having to leave the room because you're feeling so overwhelmed. And because as adults, we're aware that our reactions aren't quite fitting kind of the size of the problem, we tend to feel shame, we tend to get overwhelmed or anxious about it, and then we feel really bad. So what I say to my clients is we can't change a behavior until we're aware of the behavior. So now that you know what the term emotional dysregulation means, you're more empowered to be able to make the changes you want to make or to be able to work on how to respond when you are feeling dysregulated. What is the connection between anger and ADHD? ADHD brains tend to react really quickly and intensely. We tend to have low frustration tolerance and be a little bit more impulsive. That kind of makes for this perfect storm when it comes to anger. So obviously this looks different for adults than it does for kids. For kids, we might see them tantruming, kicking and screaming on the floor, or yelling. For adults, it might look like being really quick to get frustrated. It often happens when it seems like the problem isn't as big, right? Or isn't calling for that big of a reaction. We just all of a sudden feel so much emotion and we can't hide it. So we have these sort of outbursts. But the mechanism behind the outbursts for children and adults is the same. Sometimes these outbursts happen because we're feeling overwhelmed. There's a lot of sensory input happening around us. And also we know that ADHD brains have a harder time accessing dopamine, so we can struggle to feel regulated. We also know that people with ADHD have to burn a lot of energy masking their symptoms, and that can lead to feelings of overwhelm. Oftentimes, what's underneath that feeling of anger are feelings of shame or fear of rejection or just feeling overwhelmed. What is an ADHD shutdown? While an ADHD shutdown is not technically a symptom of ADHD, it's something that people with ADHD commonly experience. What it can look like is zoning out, disengaging with things that you normally engage with, whether that's avoiding like texting back a friend or calling a friend. Maybe it's not wanting to get up off the couch and do anything because your brain just feels completely fried. Unfortunately, what it can look like is laziness, but what anyone with ADHD knows is it's not actually laziness. It's completely feeling overwhelmed or overstimulated and just sort of done. And if you're enjoying this so far, make sure to check out our episode with Michelle Frank on ADHD and romantic relationships. It covers things like ADHD love bombing, spouse burnout, and more. Do people with ADHD cry easily? I love this question. Yes, people with ADHD can tend to cry more easily than others. And sometimes, in fact, this is the first thing that parents will notice before their child is diagnosed with ADHD, or maybe the thing that flags that they might have something bigger going on. People with ADHD tend to cry easier because we have these big, intense feelings that feel really hard to manage. In kids, this might look like crying more easily than their peers do, or seemingly crying over things that don't seem like that big of a deal. For adults, this can look like crying in circumstances that maybe feel a little bit inappropriate, and it can feel really embarrassing to start to tear up or cry at a time when you really don't want people to see that vulnerable emotion. I blew up in a conversation. What now? So this happens to everyone. People with ADHD, as we know, tend to be more reactive and impulsive, and we're gonna have these moments where we kind of accidentally blow up or say things we don't mean. But what happened has already happened. We can't go back and erase it. So how we respond and react is really what matters. So what we do next is most important. We don't wanna respond right away. We wanna give ourselves time to think about what happened and how we wanna respond in a way that's more intentional. One thing I tell my clients is do a little reality testing. Because we have more sensitive brains, we tend to overestimate how bad the outburst really was. Think about, was it really that bad, or am I just being overly sensitive or kind of future tripping about what the person might be thinking? So to wrap up, take a beat to get anchored. Think about what you want to say, and then apologize. And once you've apologized, don't do it over and over. Just move on. How do I calm down when I'm upset? So this is a big one for people with ADHD, and I think the answer is it's different for everyone. So you got to do a little bit of exploring to figure out what works for you. But some things that really help me and my clients are these things. One, take a couple deep breaths, because we really can't respond with intention if we're not grounded. So you hear me say that a lot, but it's because it's really important. Two, do something different. That might look like getting up and moving your body for a minute, even going to take a sip of water, just getting out of the environment that you were in when you felt overstimulated or overwhelmed or angry. The third thing is you want to validate your feelings and then assess what you realistically can do about them in the moment. Start with, it's okay that I feel this way. It's normal to feel this. Realistically assess, what can I do about this in this moment? Is it something that I can go talk to somebody about? Is there some way that I can let off steam? Maybe that's writing something down. Or maybe I just want to go home and get some space from my feelings by like watching a show or eating a good meal before I come back to it. Hey, you made it all the way here. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to help make a difference, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. You'll support Understood's mission of making sure that the 70 million people with learning and thinking differences like ADHD and dyslexia can thrive.